a number of oracles out, or is it going to be
beacon?
a fleet beacon, potentially Tempest rush?
What?
Oh my god, I love this build.
Stargate. But let's see how many lings and roaches are made here.
I don't know.
Sometimes you get the roach horn, and it's like, well, if he attacks me, I'll make roaches, but otherwise I'm going to be focusing on drones. Because, you know, the Tempest does not attack fast, which basically means it's terrible against, like, Mastling Roach.
He's pulling them. I feel like I'm watching an canning game right now. If you get 5 Tempest, you can start one-shotting Queens. Oh, this is so much fun. I love that Classic is just going off the rails with the build here in game number 1.
He's about to have 6 Tempests. Aspire starts.
Yeah, in theory, this should be the best possible response to this, is to get a good number of
he knows. Now, as you can see, the Tempest is not a fast unit, so this does give a couple of seconds on the clock here for, for Dark to try to figure out how to handle this.
Yeah, behind it, we have a Twilight Cancel coming in. So this isn't completely all in for Classic. And he only has 4 Tempests right now here in the front, so he cannot yet one-shot Queens. And the question is, how much damage can he find before the swarm of Corruptors come out and try and get something done? He should be able to get this hatchery, but there is also a Roach counterattack coming through. There is a shield battery in place to deal with it, and a lot of Stalkers getting warped in. So on the home front, looking very safe. And actually, Dark, with a drop Overlord, is dodging shots from the Tempest, picking up Queens. This is so smart, actually.
Yeah, that didn't even occur to me, yeah.
I've never seen this response, because in theory, you should just be able to one-shot like this. But if Dark... He's trying to micro it. It's very difficult to do this micro with a slow Overlord of all things.
Yeah. They got to just barely get in range. If he can figure out where the projectiles are going.
Yeah, look at that. He dodges one. Oh, but no! Oh, no, it goes the other way! 3 Queens get sniped in the Overlord. Oh, this is so cool. That hatchery is completely dead. 3 more Queens in production. I don't even think we have any Queens on the map. And it's actually only 5 Corruptors in production. Classic might just be able to win with this.
I think he can get this hatchery before the Corruptors even become a factor.
Oh my god, Tasteless.
Oh my god.
The Natural's going to die. The Queen does not produce. This is insane.
He takes out the Spire!
Goes down! I'm getting nerd chills. Okay, so Classic, he's playing it safe. He doesn't know how many Corruptors are coming across the map. Unfortunately, he didn't recall all the Tempest. I think if he knew how many Corruptors were coming through, he would have played a little bit more aggressively here. I mean, but let's already consider that the Natural went down, the 3rd base went down. That was 10 Queens that died. And Classic behind this, he's made so many Stalkers. Blink is almost done. I feel like he is going to be able to push across the map and just do a game-ending blow.
Yeah,
and what
I think this is
an insane build.
1-2 punch finisher where I think the killing blow is going to be the Stalkers coming in. That was incredible. When we saw the Overlord get sniped with the 3 Queens in it.
Wow. I've been like nerd
it's
chills
crazy.
There
are circumstances we still haven't seen yet in StarCraft where it's like, oh, all right.
We were talking about the preparation.
It makes sense. The projectile for the Tempest is so slow. In theory, you could scoop up the Queen that's being targeted and drop it back down, and then the projectile's done no damage.
And the Stalker counts right now are overwhelming. This is a pretty favorable engagement for Dark, actually. But there's just so much Protoss, it does not matter. And he's going to go for a Proxy hatch. He is. Yeah. Oh, man, we're getting juicy with these games.
Yeah, this is very cool. So he's going to make that right next to the position that the Protoss is trying to expand into. Now, this is going to be... Well, what does the Protoss want to do in this position specifically, State? I mean, are you that afraid, or is this more annoying and less of a rush, or what?
I think it's less of a rush and more of an annoying thing that can mess up your build. And there's actually mixed opinions on how to deal with this. I lost so many games against Proxy Hatch that I actually had to beg Scarlet to try to help me solve this thing.
Yeah.
And her answer to me was to not pull any probes to deal with this at all. She told me, in fact, and I quote, "Probes are for mining minerals, State. They're not for killing hatcheries." And what she said to do was to go for 2 gateways. You could boost out 2 zealots and 2 adepts, and after you kill the hatchery, you should be able to move across the map and prevent the Zerg from getting a 3rd base, at least for a time. But Classic with a little bit of a different take. Of course, it's in kind of an edge case like this one, there truly are different ways of dealing with it. And Classic with, what was that, 3 or 4 probes pulled across from the main base into the natural expansion with a Zealot, were able to kill that hatchery very quickly. So Classic is going for a Twilight Council back at home, and there are a couple of different options that he has. We could see him go for potentially some Blink Aggression, but I think it's more likely we'll see something like Dark Templar or into an Archon drop, or potentially just Shade Glaives. We'll see what it's going to be. And yeah, it's going to be Glaive Adepts. Normally I wouldn't be too much of a fan of this, but I think in theory, because Dark went for the Proxy Hatchery, there's a reason we don't see that too often, right? And it's just because it does set the macro back for the Zerg a little bit. So there could be an opportunity here for Classic to actually just snowball this and gain an advantage, considering the early game for Dark is not quite as clean. Adepts are warping in, but there are 10 roaches, 11 roaches in fact, Tasteless.
Yeah, could be more roaches and Adepts in a second here.
This is a moment. Yeah, it's a moment where we can get some damage done. Dark very quick with the drone pull into the main base.
Warp Prism's going to come up now. This time the Shade is going to be down over here towards the third.
Finding some good damage. Classic actually able to take a worker lead briefly here, and I love the Warp Prism actually kind of forcing Dark to commit some resources in the main base. And actually Dark is mismicroing this a little.
Yeah, his roaches are getting isolated.
Even a 4-Adept Warp in there in the main base. He's lost a lot of roaches to these
Okay,
adepts.
hold on a second. Is he going to actually get this? Now, this is a bad click over here.
Oh, wow.
What?
Dark is actually getting pulled apart a little. I thought with the roach count that he was going to have that he should be able to handle this, but I guess with no lings to accompany it and slow roaches, Classic has been able to finesse a fair bit of damage, more than I anticipated. Behind it, he's been getting a third Nexus during all this time.
Yeah, he's got Immortals out here. And, he didn't really lose that many of the Adepts. So,
in theory, you should be able to shade those 4 Adepts, pick off one drone, and then get him into Warp Prism before the roaches actually come through, which I guess he did it twice in a row. And actually, no, he's here in the natural. Oh, Dark is really dropping the ball on the defense, man.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
If I'm Classic, I'm about to just pull the trigger and go for it all in. With all of the damage that he is getting done.
Well, getting 7 drone kills is huge.
Oh, there are so many Adepts actually on the map. I don't think Dark is anticipating this. We have 3 Immortals and 24 Adepts. Is Classic about to go into the round of 4?
I think he is, man.
This is crazy.
I think this could be a killing blow, especially with the 3 Immortals here.
Behind it, there is
the Guardian Shield that's going to be activated. There's a number of Adepts.
Yeah, I mean, behind this, there is a little bit of a fallback plan here for Classic. He is getting a Forge, but he is certainly seeing the opportunity here. Is he going to shade? No. In fact, he's going to wait until he comes up here into...
Yeah, he's basically forcing the Zerg to respect the fact that the Adepts could shade in.
Yeah. Oh, got to keep that Warp Prism alive. It's very low on HP. The Queens, they're beelining for it.
He's going to get it.
Okay, the Warp Prism does go down, so reinforcements are going to be few and far between, but the standing army here for Classic is still very strong. Adepts are slowly getting warped out. And are you're going to shade into the main base? No. Instead, he's going to try and find more damage here in the natural expansion. The Warp Prism is being reproduced.
Keep in mind, the hatchery's so low, the Evo chamber's so low. Yeah. Drones now pulled. More Adepts coming in.
Yeah, drones are falling. Classic actually has a worker lead right now despite being so committed into this attack. The Immortals, I feel like they're kind of at the breaking point. One of them does fall. Dark is going to start trading really well here. My question is how much damage actually got done? If the Warp Prism did not fall, I think this game would be completely over.
No, I think we'd already be, closing out and going to the commercial break, to be honest.
Oh, man.
Again, 2 hatcheries so low.
Yeah.
Now, the Zerg is still down by 10 workers. So it's important to remember that. This is a timing attack, but it's a very different one. A lot of times, if a timing attack doesn't work, the other player's behind. In this case, the timing attack doesn't work, but the player that did the attack is still ahead.
And the issue is that Classic, for a moment, they were only at 4 Adepts back at home, so this counterattack might be really hard for him to hold. I mean, look at the standing army right now for Dark. Oh, man. I don't know if Classic's going to be able to hold this third base.
Yeah, this is actually a lot. And, without having the Immortals to fight the Roaches and Ravagers, the Stalkers are just basically useless. Here comes one Immortal now, but it might be too late.
Oh, the Bile's really good there from Dark as well.
Yeah.
Shield battery was delayed until this moment, so the healing, not very much. It will eventually get Bile down. Probe's even getting pulled. And Dark is just full committing on this. He's not making any more drones back at home. Biles are dodged by the Immortal, but I don't think there's enough sustain here for the Protoss army.
Yeah, I think that's actually going to be game.
Yeah,
the
classic.
Immortal, you know, one Immortal and a Warp Prism can only do so much when you have this many more Roaches and Zerglings coming down and basically shredding this position up.
I think it all goes back to that Warp Prism getting sniped. If Classic was able to reinforce on the front line, I think he really would have been able to go for that killing blow.
Yeah, here we go. Now he can just ignore the Immortal and hit other locations as well. Unbelievable. All right, guys, we're going to be going to Game 3 in a second here.
I mean, my heart rate is through the roof right now. This has been an insane series.
It's been a lot of fun to cast this. This third Nexus is going to fall. There are still Zerglings. I guess just these 2 Roaches, actually. No more Zerglings left. In the main, you know, 36 probes have been killed. This puts the Protoss at 25 workers. And I don't see any reason why the Zerg has to stop what they're doing. They're about to take out the Cybernetics Core, which means no more Stalkers. Good luck fighting this with Zealots.
Yeah, Classic is dead here. To not split any airs.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be able to push this back for a time, but really, Dark can just dive on this position, and Warp Prism can only do so much.
Yeah. Another warp in here. Looks like there's more reinforcements down at the bottom outside the third, but he forgot to queue them up or put them in a control group with the rest of that.
Yeah, Classic is
Zerglings.
Coping a little bit here. 27 probes to 54 drones. Dark, once he remaxes a little bit on this.
It's not going to kick him out of the game until all his buildings are dead. But
he's like,
there it is, GT, okay. Yeah, was good.
Yeah, generally for Protoss, it's kind of difficult to play those long form games if your opponent has a lot of time to prep for you, because you need to kind of be able to swing your styles a lot to keep the opponent guessing.
Right.
And I feel like Classic has done a fairly good job of that in these first 2 games. The opening build in game number 1 with a Tempest rush of all things to close it out was just such a thriller.
In this game, things are developing pretty normally. I mean, you basically have a Phoenix that's sweeping the map to kill Overlords, and then we have Oracles being made.
Yeah, with the Twilight and Forge transition, so this is looking about as standard as PBZ's going to get, and actually this is some good damage. Oh, a little bit of miscontrol there from Classic. I think with Dark being out of position, he should have been able to get at least 6 drone kills. Oh, he's going for Overlords. This might be a Queen push.
Oh, hold on a second.
He's only on 54 drones.
Yeah, I think so. He's going to try to swing this right while the Protoss is at the, you know, the key moment of development. You know, when they patched the game very early on, one of the things they realized is they need to make Queen slow off creep, otherwise there's too many timing attacks you can do. But then you get moments like this where you just upgrade drop and you just pile on them at a moment like this. And I don't think that the Phoenix has found this yet.
Classic should know. He saw no Queens at home. He sees Ravagers, but he's only just now realizing. So the photon cannons, the shield batteries, they don't have a lot of time to warp in. He's going to try and zone these units out, forcing the Queens to drop over there at this junction of the map. Actually buys Classic a lot of time. The Oracles are going to be sent to try and reinforce the Ravagers, get as much damage done as they possibly can. And it's all going to come down to the defense here. There's
Both
no
the
shield
Oracles go down.
Yeah. There's no shield battery here in the natural expansion either. It's going to be a tough hold here for Classic. Blink only about 3/4 of the way done.
I mean, he's going to continue to press forward. It doesn't look like there's a lot of room to micro back here, but the batteries are paying off. The cannons are finishing.
Yeah, but the natural expansion, if Dark can identify that there isn't a lot of static defense there, he can get some damage done. He can unpower that one robo there in the front line and potentially slow the disruptors from coming out. And it seems like he's just going to park his army here between the natural and the third. Queens are dropping. Stalker's blink is done, so they're going to blink back into the third base. Relatively favorable trades here for Classic, but that robo, it's unpowered.
Yeah, and you know, the robo, you really need that if you're going to kind of deal with this onslaught of units. The other robo does get a disruptor out. Can we get a good disruptor shot coming in over here?
Oh, it should be a good one. Tasteless, he gets only one Ravager.
Oh no, but the disruptor goes down. He didn't pull it away.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming in on Classic. He's trying to blink his Stalkers back above these vials, but a lot of them are hitting. This is still so close.
Yeah, there's a lot of really damaged Ravagers.
Okay, there is one more disruptor alive as Zealot is trying its best to keep it alive. Second shot coming in, just going to connect with one Queen. He knows he can't get too greedy with it, and Classic, he might be able to hold. There's actually 2 Queens.
Yeah, he drops Queens over here to kill off the workers to try to curb the income. in another effort to try to stop the Protoss from getting enough, minerals to produce Stalkers in this case.
Stalkers are starting to trade reasonably well here, and you can really start to feel the burn of not having Queens back at home injecting for Dark as the larva. There isn't enough of it for Dark to fully reinforce. In fact, right now, he's floating almost 2K resources. If he had the larva to do non-stop roachling production, I think he might have just been able to end the game, but instead, he's throwing down an infestation pit, he's getting roach speed, he's rebuilding his Queens, he's taking a 4th base. Classic has survived, and although he's sustained a lot of damage, and there's also creep in his natural expansion, which is really funny to see. I kind of like this position for Classic. He was going 2 Forge behind all of this, by the way.
No, I think the pendulum is about to swing the other direction here, because now he's going to be able to push out. We're starting to see the economy kick back in here for Dark, but I think a counter push could be a real threat. And again, there's no 4th base done yet. We have a double expand happening. One at the triangle expansion, the other in the far upper left reaches of the map.
He might be able to reach basically an anti-timing against Dark, where Dark is investing all of these resources in something that is not going to pay off, and the Disruptors can just wipe the floor with the Roaches and Ravagers. But not having any Stargate units out, as you call it, those 2 Oracles went down very early in that fight, means that the scouting, it's a little bit limited here for Classic. With the army that Classic has on the ground, it still might not be enough. 4 Colossus and 5 Disruptors.
It's a lot of technical units.
Yeah, you can't abduct absolutely everything. You abduct all the Disruptors and just leave the Colossus standing, then suddenly your Lings aren't going to be able to trade very well. If you kind of mix getting in the Colossi and the Disruptors, then suddenly a couple Disruptor shots on your Roaches and Ravagers can completely turn the game on its head. And I think the answer has to be Hive Lurkers, but that's a long time away from now. And if Classic hits this max timing, which I think he is going to do, it's going to be a tough hold for Dark. He knows it. He's going for a base trade.
Yeah.
There's no recall, by the way.
Yeah. So this is, what you see is what you get. Now he is going to be able to take this out in the space over here. Now, here's some important things to keep in mind. There are more locations for the Zerg, which means it's going to be more work for the Protoss to try to wipe everything out.
Classic is coming home.
He kills that base and then comes back. So this is very cool to see.
Ooh.
But I'm worried that there's going to be so much damage back at the Protoss's base.
Yeah, Classic has effectively no economy now. He has to win with this army, and I'm not sure coming back is the right decision.
It's the same story as we saw in the Gamer's Bunny, where he has Lings burrowed everywhere. So the Protoss has to be very thorough in the cleanup, which just buys the Zerg more time. You would always drop 1 base to cause this kind of infrastructure damage. It's 13 workers left over for the Protoss, whereas for a second ago, we had 63. It looks like he spent some money to make some more buildings.
Yeah, and remember how we were talking about how Dark needs Hive Lurker tech to stand with this Protoss army on the ground, and he needs to buy time? He just bought a lot of time.
Yeah, he's got 4 Lurkers, 5 Lurkers coming now.
Yep, Seismic Spine's about a third of the way complete, and maybe he won't be able to defend every single expansion, but Dark should eventually be able to stop this push in its tracks. For Classic right now, he is basically all in. What you see is what you get with this Protoss army. First Abduct comes in on a couple of Disruptors, actually able to survive and gets a big hit. The Disruptors, only one of them go down. Classic, he has to win with this army.
Yeah, what exactly can Classic do? You can see that Dark is just buying time. And by the way, another really nice small counterattack. There's so much area on the map that Classic is going to have to try to break down.
And look at the expansions right now on the map for Dark. He's expanding in 3 separate locations, and he's going for the full base trade. And I think that he knows, he's identified the situation. If he buys enough time right here, all these blinding clouds are massive. Classic blinks forward onto the Lurkers, and he gets a lot of them, but there's going to be no buildings back at home for Classic. He's going to be eliminated.
He just, no matter how you cut it. I don't see a pylon hidden on the map. I don't see anything like that. No. He's going to recall.
But this is just buying time. There's no way for him to win from this position anymore. Dark has too many bases. And Classic, although he played a great game, it's going to be Dark going in.